talking about introducing you how your peers make money using features, new features in MindFire Studio. We're really excited that you took time out of your busy day to join us, and we've got some great information for you today. We're on the air. You should be able to hear us now, and if not, you can see a telephone number with an option, too, that you can call to get some help, but it's there for your use if you need it. Favorite question everyone always asks is, are we recording today's session? Yes, we are. And will you get a copy of the slides? Absolutely. We'll get these out within 24 hours from the conclusion of today's webinar. So be ready. They'll be there for you. We encourage you to ask as many questions as you have throughout the session from now to the end, and we try to answer every question that's asked in the Q&A section at the end of today. So it's really simple. Type in a question in the question log area, and we'll answer it in the course of today's session. Now, our agenda today, we're going to kick off with what's new in MindFire Studio. And I think you're going to be surprised with all the additions that we've had. It's really exciting to see. Then we're going to transition to one of our longtime 5-year customers who's been very successful with our technology. Great company. Ken Cratty, Cross-Channel Operations Manager from McArdle, is going to be talking about building sophisticated lead nurturing campaigns. And I think you're going to be really excited about what he shares with you. Then we're going to transition over to Dave Olson from One-to-One Group in Florida, and he's going to talk about an unbelievable program raising over $6 million with one multi-channel campaign. So we've got a great lineup. We'll have plenty of time for questions, and we're excited that you joined us today. Now, our presenters today, we've got Dave Olson, SVP in Florida Operations, and his partner down in One-to-One Group. And also, as I said, Ken Cratty, our Cross-Channel Operations Manager from McArdle Solutions. And of course, talking about the technology is none other than our co-founder, Dave Rosendahl, who most of you know, and most of you know me as well, Joe Manis. So we're excited you're joining us today, and let's get on with the show. Before we kick off, we'd like to ask you a quick polling question, and just to get a feel for our audience today. So the question is, are you using marketing automation today? And we'd like you to go ahead and select one of the following answers. Yes, we're a MindFire client. Yes, we're using a different solution. Not yet, but we're planning to. And no, it's not a good fit for us, which is okay. We just want to know. And I don't know if we are. So go ahead and submit your answers. We'll give you a couple seconds to get those all in. Looks like we've got folks replying currently, so we're coming up about 70% almost have voted. There we hit the 70% mark. We'll give you a little more time. Get your answers in. It just helps us understand our audience. Got almost 80%. Great. Take a couple more seconds. Looks like we've got a good mix. All right, let's take 5 seconds more. If you haven't voted, please do so. And let's go ahead and close up the poll. All right, so we've got 67% of you are a MindFire client. Thank you very much. We appreciate you very, very much. 3% were using a different solution. 26% of you said not yet, but we're planning to. 3% said no, it's not a good fit for us. Love to have a conversation with you. And 3% don't know. So thank you very much for your participation. That helps us a great deal. Okay, at this point, I'm going to bring Dave Rosendahl back, and he's going to talk about everything that's new in the MindFire Studio and give you a roadmap update. Dave, welcome back.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe, and hello to everyone. It's really an honor to be here with you today, and I think you are really going to enjoy the time with our 2 fantastic presenters today with Dave and Ken. But before we get into their stories, as Joe said, we're going to spend a few minutes just highlighting a little bit about what we've been doing over the past few months for you. If you're in the MindFire family already, everything that we're showing you today you already have access to, so you can start using these things right away. If you're not yet in the family, but you see something that you'd like to find out more about, we're happy to follow up with you too. We're actually going to give anybody who's interested access to some of the features that we're talking about today, and I'll tell you how to do that here in just a minute. So please let us know if you have any questions as we go through this. We're very happy to always take those questions and get them answered for you. So let's take a look at what we've been doing the past few months to help you improve your marketing efforts. And as I do this, bear in mind that we're not going to go into deep technical detail here. Really, our goal, our intent here is to spark ideas that are going to help you market yourself, market your company, do marketing on behalf of your customers more effectively using this technology. And so our hope is to give you enough of the idea, the germ of the idea, if you will, so that maybe you can then fan the flames of that into something that you can utilize to generate more revenue. So there are 8 areas that we're going to give you an overview of, and when you look at the screen, you'll start to see those appear here. So first, we've seen more and more of you incorporating multi-channel marketing automation campaigns within web-to-print storefronts, like PageFlex, which is what you see here on the screen. And I think many of you know that we have an integration with PageFlex, and over the past couple of months, we've continued investing in improving that integration to meet the variety of needs that you and your customers are expressing. Now, PageFlex is just one example. We actually see more and more of folks either integrating into other storefronts, or we see you creating your own user interfaces that utilize the MindFire APIs to create very custom, very business-specific workflows that allow distributed sales organizations and other organizations like that to order multi-channel campaigns through a storefront. So I'm going to share more about that in just a moment in terms of what we see folks doing there. Now, the other area that we've continued to invest in is making print a key part of your marketing workflow. And one way we've done this is through a relationship with HP that makes printing direct mail and other material within your multi-channel workflows as easy as incorporating email. That's kind of been the driving vision behind our relationship with HP, is can we make print within these workflows as easy to output as email? And obviously that's a driving guideline. There's still work to do, and there's areas that we know we can help you more in, but the idea is to make it easy for you to incorporate print. Now, we've had other sessions on this topic. We have some videos and we have some documentation. We'd love to share that with you if you want to find out more about what that looks like and how you can start using that. Now, in addition to print, so we've talked about direct mail, email is a very popular channel that we see our users employing within their marketing workflows. And so we've invested in continuing to make email better, including things like infrastructure improvements that make your triggers fire faster. One of the things that we were noticing is that a lot of you use emails as your sales lead alert, and many times those emails need to arrive very quickly so that you can respond just at the right moment. So we've made improvements in making email better in those types of situations, and we've also made the creating and editing of emails even easier, and I'm going to show you more on that in just a moment. I think you'll enjoy taking a look at that. Now, if you already use direct mail within Studio, you may have noticed a significant improvement in the speed with respect to the processing of your export files. Now, this is probably more noticeable for those of you who have larger volumes of data or who are doing more involved export of information from within your campaign. So we invested in this area because we see more and more of you doing more involved campaigns, and so we've made a significant improvement in the speed with which those export files are received. So we're going to continue to equip you with other tools in this area to leverage the power of print. We've talked about HP and our integration with them already, and we're going to continue to do more in the area of direct mail to help you continue to leverage print within your workflows. Now, when you see the case studies that Dave and Ken present today, we had a chance earlier this week to go through everything with them, and I think you're going to be pretty excited. And some of you, though, may look at that stuff and say, shoot, you know, what Dave and Ken are showing me is awesome, but I don't have the HTML skills, either myself or maybe on my team, to create something that kicks butt like what they're showing me. And so what we found is that's actually a pretty common situation. And so to help those of you who feel that, you know what, we need some help with HTML, we need an easier way to create our HTML, we released an HTML editor along with some templates, a library of templates, to help those of you in that situation. So you can use this in your emails, you can use this in your microsite pages, etc. In a moment, I'm going to bring up some snapshots to show you kind of what that looks like. The other area we've invested in, and both Dave and Ken are taking advantage of this and are going to show you some snapshots, is reporting. And at the last webinar, I believe it was last month, at the Marketing Corner, we did a 10-minute overview of some of the key areas of reporting. And Dave and Ken are both going to show you more about how they've utilized the information in their case study today. So I'm going to bring up some snapshots in just a moment that's going to give you a little more insight into some of the interesting things that are coming your way with respect to reporting. And then lastly, we've done a lot of work investing in developing additional integrations for you. Things like Salesforce integration, payment integration, which Dave's going to talk about here in just a moment. Integrating with a company called Zapier, which is a fantastic way to open you up to an incredible number of other integrations out there. If you're interested in any of the things that you're seeing here on the screen, like Salesforce or payment, Zapier, get in touch with us. We're happy to talk to you more about how you can leverage that for your marketing. So I know many of us are visual learners, and it's easier sometimes to process information through pictures. So let me show you a little bit more detail on just two of the items we covered. And I'm going to start with the HTML editor. So again, what we've heard from folks is that many of them appreciate and leverage the flexibility that Studio gives them to create and manage HTML with high fidelity, meaning it's really a developer's friend with respect to how it ingests HTML. But then, at the same time, you often have resources that need to then manage or continue to manage those campaigns and those assets who may not have that same skill set, who need something to help edit and manage the content. And so, thus, the HTML editor was released earlier this year. And what you see on the screen is just an example from a campaign, actually one of MindFire's campaigns, to give you some sense of what you have available. Everyone has access to the HTML editor button here at the bottom of the screen and to the template library here, which I'm moving my mouse over. And so when you go into the HTML editor, you see all of the editing features that you'd expect from any content management system. You can see those here going across the top of the page. And so this is the editor that allows you to create this type of email. And we also have made available a template library so that those of you who want to get started with a template can do so from this library. Working with our friends from MailChimp, they provide a wonderful library of templates. Our team here at MindFire modified those to fit right within your marketing automation workflow. And so you've got a great template library to start from to begin to be able to leverage some of the assets that are available for you within the HTML editor. So that's the first thing. The second thing I mentioned is reporting, and I want to go into a little bit more depth here for you to give you some additional context. So what we heard from you, you wanted more reports, you wanted better reports, you asked for a wider variety of accessibility options, meaning you wanted to be able to access reports outside of MindFire Studio, you wanted to access them on the web, you wanted access on your mobile devices, and we have folks who are asking, hey, how do I integrate reporting into my own applications, into my storefronts, into my CRMs, whether they be CRMs that you're using on-premise or those of your customer. And so we heard you, and we took action. And what you see on the screen is just one of the many new views that you have access to. And this is actually a view from within our own set of reports for some MindFire programs that we run here internally. Now, what you see is completely web accessible. You can see the URL up here at the top of the screen. And it also displays very nicely on your mobile device. So you have information about the marketing program and its effectiveness, its performance. You can drill down into additional layers of detail, including what you see here on the right-hand side, a very handy and very useful view of a contact's information. So you can drill down right to the contact level and look at a bunch of information that's available about that particular person. This is good for your sales team. It's good for folks who are interacting with contacts as they engage within these marketing programs. Now, the other thing that's coming soon is that you're going to be able to brand this interface. So as an example, right here where you see the MindFire Studio icon, and in a few other areas, you're going to be able to put your logo. Many of you are asking for that. That's coming very soon, where you're going to be able to apply your own brand to this and present it to your customers, if you're a service provider, to appear as your own. The other thing we hear is that folks say, hey, you know what, these views are great. We want to be able to embed these within our own applications. And so we're providing additional ways for you to integrate this data and these views into your own applications. Let us know if you've got more questions about how you can do that. So that's a brief overview of some of the things that we've been up to over the past few months. Joe, were there any good questions that came in over the past few minutes that you think we should take now before we move into this next section here?
Hey, Dave, none thus far. Just one person was having difficulty viewing, but I think we got him taken care of. So
okay.
We're good.
Excellent. So now for a moment, what I want to do is talk a little bit about some of the questions that you folks had when you signed up for the session. If you remember, when you signed up, we took the opportunity to capture some information from you. And so what we did is we took the hundreds of words and inputs that came in through the sign-up process and created this word cloud here. And you can see that front and center, folks were talking about how to add more value for their customers, how to incorporate print, which we've been talking about today within those workflows, how to make money, right? Money's up here in the upper right-hand corner. So what we want to do is for a moment just try to answer some of those questions generally, because one of the wonderful advantages we have here at MindFire is that we're able to look out across thousands of programs from companies all over the world. And looking at things from that vantage point allows us to see some really interesting trends. And so I thought it might be interesting to share some of that with you so that, again, perhaps you get some insight into how your peers are using this type of technology, how they're selling it, how they're marketing it, how they're gaining value for their customers. And again, the hope is that it'll give you ideas in areas that you can do so yourself. So there are really 4 key trends that we want to summarize for you that we see. So if you're wondering, how do you compare to your peers and what they're doing? You're going to get a good shot at that here with Ken and Dave in just a moment. But broadly speaking, what we see, quadrant 1 here, folks are continuing to build more elaborate campaigns. When I say elaborate, what I mean is where email, print, text, voice, and other channels are orchestrated to achieve the campaign's objective. So we're seeing continued use of multi-channel marketing automation campaigns. And in doing so, what we're starting to see is a set of workflows that are more sophisticated in nature, business rules that are used to version content, to personalize content across a variety of channels. And folks are really taking advantage of one of the features of MindFire, which is that we provide you with a great degree of freedom with respect to how you create those workflows. So we're starting to see evolving use cases, and you're going to get a taste of that here in a moment as our 2 presenters talk about what they've done. And then the third thing that we're seeing more organizations, and many of you on the phone are involved in web to print or have storefronts, but we're seeing more and more of you say, hey, I've got this web to print interface, I've got this storefront interface where my customer who's a franchise or some distributed sales organization is already logging in to order marketing material. We want to be able to offer these campaigns that we've created here in box 1. We want to be able to offer those campaigns in a turnkey way through that portal. So we're seeing much more of that. We're seeing an uptick in folks looking to do that, either leveraging one of our existing integrations or building their own interface to allow folks to do that. So that's the third thing we see. And then as an extension of that, MindFire's platform is developer friendly. We're seeing more and more folks like you who have engineering resources, who have developers, whether they be full-time or contract, using the MindFire platform to integrate other systems, to extend the capability that MindFire has, to do things that really build upon the power that MindFire provides to meet your customer's need head-on, really giving you the flexibility that you need to meet the wide variety of use cases that are out there. So hopefully that's been helpful. If you have any questions, let us know, and we're happy to share more with you with respect to what we're seeing. And with that, Joe, I'm going to turn the floor back to you to get us started with Ken and get a real-life example going here on the screen.
Yeah, great, Dave, and great overview. Thank you. Before we move into introducing Ken and his case studies, we did have a good question that came in near the end of your presentation. So I figured we might as well go ahead and address it now while the dashboard analytic discussion was just recently had.
Fantastic.
And the question question was from Aaron. He said, "Is the dashboard analytics an app or only web?"
Is it an app or only web? Is that what you were saying, Joe?
Yeah, that's right.
It's available through any HTML5, any modern web browser. So hopefully I'm answering your question. You can access it through any web browser, and you can also access it on your phone. So it's not a native iOS app per se. It's a web page that you can go to and you can see through any modern browser. So hopefully I answered your question. Let me know.
Yeah, Aaron, if you feel free to have any extension questions on that. We'll have plenty of time to address that. So fantastic. All right, great job, Dave. So let's move to our next section. So with that, I'm excited and pleased to introduce one of our, like I said earlier, old-time, very successful customers, McArdle Solutions. And joining us from McArdle today is none other than Ken Cratty, the Cross-Channel Operations Manager. As you can see from his bio bullets, 15 years experience in variable programming. He's an awesome expert guy at that. 30 years experience in the printing industry and an amateur nature photographer as well. And so, Ken, do you want to add anything to that bio or any other points before we?
That sounds good. It's just it's a beautiful day here in the nation's capital.
And I recently learned that you also love being out on the water, and you're getting ready to acquire a boat. So we should add that to the bio because
yes,
you know that's a good place to be when you're not working hard.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so let's jump into what we're going to be talking about today with Ken. He's going to introduce a complex nurturing program. And Ken, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the objectives were for this customer?
This customer wanted to engage with each of their students that's looking for certification. And what they really wanted to do is they wanted to understand how long it took from a student to get from take care of each process to become certified. They also wanted to help nurture that student all the way to certification and give us report back to them that ability and how many actually go through the entire process, how far they go.
Excellent. And obviously, you know, they wanted to get that new customer acquisition because it's a competitive market out there.
Absolutely.
Yep. So this is the program, and at first view it's a little daunting, but in reality it makes perfect sense when you go through it.
I'll go through it real quick. You can see that we just really quick from the beginning where we have the data silos. Some of the data was rented data that we put into the system. Some of the data was acquired to us by the client. So it's a mixture of data coming to us, which means that we did a mixture of messaging to them, really depending if it was a already existing warm lead or if it was a cold lead. We touched them with both email and print and drove them to the microsite. The microsite was a vast communication of information, resources that they could go to for their specific specialty. I believe there were 15 different specialties involved in this. So depending on what they selected as to what they're interested in, it depended on what the messaging said. Once they migrated through the site, we asked them a few questions to get us to help understand them even more and to put them in the correct track. We began a nurturing process. And that nurturing process was to, at the very beginning was to confirm that they're eligible. Then a few days later, we came back to them and said, it gave them some information, some sample test questions. And each email basically had a "Are you ready? Are you not?" question to it, in which was a yes or no. If they said yes, they went on to the next step with a little time frame in between. If they said no, we did a 3-day wait and then went back to them to ask them again, "Are you ready?" again, and it just went on to that process 3 or 4 times until we bucketed them to come back to them later to see if they are lost, do they need help, and it gave that information back to the client so they can contact them as well. The process went through the whole system all the way down to where they're studying for the test, and we ask them if they're 25, 50, 75, and if they're ready to take the test. Are they ready to register for the test? And if they did answer that, they, that we gave them that information. Where do you go to register? How do you register? How long it takes? Questions to that nature, and all the way through to we find out from our client whether they've passed certification or not, and we sent them the congratulatory email as well. And
Beautiful.
That's pretty.
Real quick question on that program, Ken, because when you look at something like that, was that workflow driven by the customer's desire, some experience they had, or was that designed entirely by you based on, the customer's objectives? How did you arrive at that flow?
Well, we started out on it. We have a great team of writers and design people on our staff, and we spend a lot of time understanding their business. And then once we've done that, we've started the process. But then we, presented it to the client. They came back to us and said, hey, what about this person? What happens if you stop hearing from this person? And when we massaged the layout even further to accommodate every aspect we could.
There's one last interesting point of that program is if a nurse, I should say the student got engaged with the process and then they fell off the face of the earth, you had a re-engagement process built in there as well, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely.
That was excellent. Okay, what about this slide?
This slide shows really a portion of the MindFire Studio layout area, and it's very daunting to see the whole process, but we wanted to take a little chunk and give you an idea as to what it takes, what's going on here. As you can see, there's an inbound, that's the microsite, and all of the boxes below and the one to the right are triggers, and those triggers are, they answer the question and they went into a bucket, whether they're yes or no, and depending on what question they were at, and it knew to allow some time to go into the next stage and get the next letter. Someone that's studying for the test may take, this is a year-long process. Somebody that might studying for the test, that email trigger went out 2-3 weeks apart from each other, where if we're just asking did they register, we may have sent that every 3 or 4 days, just because of the length of time it took to do certain parts of the process.
All right. So now we move on to another program, and this was another dynamic program. Why don't you tell us a little about the strategy on this one?
Yes, the client requested that they do we create a self-assessment quiz, and they wanted to be able to have if anyone understands the expression Cosmo quiz, and it's basically how they answer each one of the questions that developed a score. And depending on their score, they saw different types of messaging. Now we had 8 different markets for this campaign. It was HR, IT, I'm trying to think, marketing, and even in marketing we broke that down into whether it was a B2B or B2C marketing. But we did is we used MindFire Studio's scoring ability, look at how they answer these questions, and we attached points to them. And based on how they answered this, the next slide will show you that the messaging, the next website page, had different messaging depending on how they answered that question.
And here we have quiz 1 versus quiz 2.
Correct.
Okay.
Here, what we're trying to show here is the way email messaging can go out and how it can affect the campaign. The really nice thing that we like about the MindFire Studio is the ability that as we're migrating through the campaign with the client and we're seeing the instant results of the email communications, and if you have, say, 5 or 6 email communications going on and you start seeing that maybe the email communications are starting to drop off a little as they're going, we say, well, let's try something different with the email communication. Here we noticed one of our clients was very big into the Department of Defense, and because they're contractors, they have very high security, and we noticed a good sizable bounce back in our email. So what we did is we said, well, we're going to strip all the graphics out of the email, And we did, and that corrected that problem. So that was how we showed the difference between this. And then we realized, wow, even the open rates and the read rates were a lot higher with just text. So we've actually applied that to many of our other campaigns, including this campaign, where we, after 3 or 4 touches, we've gone back to just to do it a text email to see what kind of reply rate, and we increased the reply rate up as much as 10%.
Beautiful.
So the other thing that one last thing that I'd like to show here is the tools and research page, which typically we put in a lot of our campaigns to give the person the ability to research out what we're trying to market. On this particular client, they wanted their sales leads to be recorded immediately right into their CRM. What they wanted for sales leads is if people, as they downloaded content, that gave them an idea how much interaction they had with the site. So they wanted the sales leads to come through their CRM to their sales team based off of the content download. So what we were able to do is we were able to write a script at each download. It was very simple with the HTML capabilities of MindFire to write that script so that when someone clicked on a link, a signal shot through their custom CRM to their to record that these people made these downloads once they've seen. I'm really not sure what kind of rule they set on their end. They knew when the sale was time for a salesperson to contact them over the phone.
Beautiful.
And this is the reporting, and the reporting shows us that these pages here, these are all the actual downloads. Because we built this custom link to the CRM, we had to make each link its own page, some web page. And it also gave us the page views, told us reality is a page view is a download.
Good results there.
Yep, absolutely. It's very good results. And as if you can see in the open rate where it says domestic email, well, you can see the email 0617 is at 11.77%. When we did the domestic email, that's the one that we made it a personal letter instead of having it heavily graphic. And you can see the open rate there jumped to almost 21%.
Nice.
So, you know, my closing thoughts here is productivity is easy to build programs. It's very flexible. It's not you have to take step A to get to step B. You can pretty much do whatever you'd like to do. It's very flexible. We had one campaign where we wanted the person to be able to refer up to 10 people at a time. It was a contest, basically, and gave them that ability, and we were able to work with MindFire with the scripting tool that they provided us and gave us the ability to build that 10-person refer a friend. The scoring has been great. We've used it in a number of our programs where we set up a score for the sales-ready leads, and we went through the campaign, and again, just because of the flexibility of MindFire, we were capable of adjusting that scoring as the campaign went on, just depending on how it was going on, what was going on at the time. So very important to engage with the client and to have discussions with them and see how they felt in the beginning of the campaign, midway through the campaign, and even 75% of the campaign, and for us to adjust accordingly. If they say, no, we'd like to see more people visiting the site, we'd like to see more people reading their emails, depending on really what it is that their goal to that campaign. And with that, obviously, we continually do A/B testing emails to make sure that we are reaching and getting the best results from the email.
Great. Hey, just one quick point. In our conversations, especially when we think in terms of auto-tracking of HTML links, again, under the heading of productivity gains, you use some other systems out there.
Yeah, I've used other programs, and with other programs, when you wanted to track an existing link in the email, and with the type of clients that we have tons of links that are in our campaign. Other software, you have to actually establish the link for each link to track it. In MindFire Studio, all links are automatically tracked. Every action that a person takes on a microsite is tracked. So it's very, very convenient to easy to use system.
Great.
Time saving.
Good. And we have one quick question that, while it's fresh in everyone's mind, Jeff asked, how did the information transfer into the CRM? So that's back to that earlier example.
They gave us a script. The client gave us a script to work on there. They actually use Salesforce, which, MindFire has a tool that works with Salesforce, but they had another system in front of their Salesforce, so they didn't want us communicating directly to their Salesforce. When a client clicked on the email, the script ran that sent a signal to their system, and it's kind of like, in the way it works is, with Salesforce is you create a campaign, you take these names out, each person has a unique identifier, so that when we sent signals back to them, it used that unique identifier to link up that person with their CSRM.
Beautiful. All right. Okay, and then we got another question, but we'll get that in the later session on Refer a Friend. I think that'll be a great one. Thanks a lot, Ken. Great job. And
sure. Thank you.
Okay, so now let's segue over to our second presenter, and we're going to talk about raising over $6 million with one multi-channel campaign. And the one-to-one group's been doing a fabulous job down in Florida. So we're going to welcome David Olson. He's got 21 years of direct marketing and fundraising experience for nonprofit organizations. Initiated an alumni e-newsletter in 1993 that has grown to more than 20,000 subscribers to date. It's awesome. And known locally for his exotic home brews and custom-built rat rod bicycles. And we consider him clearly one of the most interesting marketing men in the world, as a little graphic illustrates there. So, and I had to Google rat rod bicycles because I didn't know if that was a typo or David. That actually was a bicycle, and I learned something new today. So welcome, and what would you like to add to that bio?
Well, next time you're in Florida, Joe, I'll give you a ride on my custom extended chopper with it's got an extra seat in the back, kind of, I won't say it online, but it starts with the word B and ends with the word, ends with H.
Definitely must do that, guys, and we must get a picture of that.
We got a picture of that for sure. That would be a good one. Well, welcome, David, and it's really an honor to have you on board. So I'm going to just turn it over to you and let you do your magic.
Sure, thanks. It's great to be a part of this, and thank you for the invite. So our client is the NC State Student Aid Association. Many Division I colleges have an organization like this. It's basically the organization that supports athletics and athletic funding for student scholarships, especially at the Division I level. And so each year, the Wolfpack Club is faced with the same issue of renewing memberships, and for an organization that has to raise close to about $20 million a year to provide the funding necessary to support all the student athletes that are playing, you can see that they do that by a wide range of membership levels, so they start down in the $120 range and go up to $30,000, and those different membership levels are, primarily what was able to help us get to that overall goal number of 6 million, which sounds a little outrageous. So for us, our goal was to talk to a target audience, and then you can see by these faces, these are like all schools. They have a fanatic fan base of alumni and friends and family members that want to support student athletics at various levels. So that's who our target audience was, and out of the 13,000. They were all members. So we were talking about a membership renewal campaign and incorporating some elements that the client had not done ever in their history. So we had an initial creative meeting back in October, and the campaign was to launch in January. And we sat around the table, and my client presented me with a sketch. And a couple of, literally a pencil sketch on a notepad of her creative idea of what this campaign might look like as far as the creative elements. And it was really a pretty good idea. because if you're not familiar with college athletics, signing days are big at the high school level, and everyone, all the seniors that are graduating from high school, all the big studs that are, whether they're playing football, baseball, basketball, there's a signing day for that sport, and they wanted to incorporate that signing day theme into the membership renewal campaign. So we built on that with the theme, your membership matters, and today's your signing day, basically. So I think on the next slide we can see a little bit of our campaign workflow here. Our thought was to go out with an initial soft ask in email number 1, so that we could tell them a little bit about how membership renewal was going to work this year, and what were some of the elements about it. So there's a little video that we popped in, on a landing page, drew that thumbnail in the email, and wrote a little letter from the executive director. And believe it or not, this soft ask, brought quite a bit of renewals in before we even hit the street with our direct mail piece. The direct mail piece was, something that we do every, year after year. It pretty much is the primary vehicle for getting checks, credit cards, commitments back in the hands of the client. And what we were able to do by doing the initial email blast out was reduce the amount of direct mail just by putting the email on the streets first and giving some time for that to sit, and then launching the direct mail campaign. I think we reduced our mail file from 13,000 somewhere to around 10,500 when it came time to send the first direct mail piece out. And then we followed up with a series of other emails as well along the way. Yeah, so email 1, soft launch, took us from a 13,000 initial mail file and helped us reduce the mail file list to 10,000. Then we hit the street with the direct mail piece. You can see that in this we had multiple personalized variables, particularly things like consecutive years of membership, lifetime giving amounts. In there somewhere is a personalized URL to renew online. That's in the PS. And then on the back is a lot of static information and legalistic type stuff that they have to put about the membership and the benefits that you receive with your payment and all that stuff. And so this is email 2, and this is what really drove traffic into the microsite. This was the first email that really pushed heavily all of the web traffic that was converted into cash payments. And that opening paragraph up top was a variable graph that spoke personally to each household. But it also, the small text underneath the black text was versioned out at 6 different levels. So there were six major segments of this audience, and for each one, they got a different snippet of text in there. Below that is the center graphic, which shows the signature sign here. Personalized graphic for every single individual that got this. So their years of membership was live data, their lifetime giving was live data, their address, their name, that was all live, and we created these PNG files as assets before the campaign even started, and then we pointed to them using a variable in the HTML. So that was email 2, and it drove traffic into this microsite. And we had a little gateway on the left. Is a little gateway to confirm who you are. You come in on that click URL, and just prompted you for your email address. You hit continue. Now on the right-hand side, you're looking at the primary landing page. Again, keeping the same look and feel, some of the same elements. A lot of that language there is basically similar to what was in the email. But the video message and the personalization from the executive director, Bobby Purcell, really hit home. It's a kind of a family-oriented message that says, the Wolfpack Club is a family. You're part of this family, and your membership matters. Show us your level of championship commitment by renewing today. So once you get off the landing page, you were then taken to kind of a, this is a decision page right here, page number 2. we wanted to give them information up top, the renewal options. This is important information because those bullets 1, 2, and 3, the dollar amounts that are blown in there are actually variables for each recipient, and it's based on their past level, their previous year's level of membership. So you can see bullet number 3, renew at the teammate club for $120. So both the name, teammate club, and the dollar amount are variables. And even items 2 and 1 are both variables that were calculated ahead of time. Then we asked them to choose their method of payment, pay in full by credit card, pay partial payment, pledge now, pay later, or call me to set up a bank draft. From there, they were taken over to the, this is what we call the submit page. So based on what they chose, whether it was pay in full, pay partial, or pledge now, pay later, drove what they saw next. So this page here is built out to do a, actually no, this page here actually gets their commitment. Because up top, near the step 2 of 2, those bullets, they had to select one of those. They had to select the dollar amount that they wanted to renew at. Did they want to renew at the same amount? Did they want to give 10% more? Or did they want to go and increase to the next level above their previous year's membership? So they put their credit card in, hit submit, and boom, they're done. Their processes, it acknowledges them. Thank you for signing with the Wolfpack Club. And what we did here is we wanted to celebrate and try to promote the membership campaign using some social media. So we incorporated a couple of custom strips of Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And we were able to, using the content variables, we were to drive personalization right into some of these posts, like for instance here, breaking news, 5-star recruit, your name, first name, last name, David Olson signs with the NC State Wolfpack, here at the bottom part, this is my colleague Heather Darling, breaking news, 5-star recruit, Heather Darling signs with the Wolfpack Club. What these did is it just it put the campaign out there on some various aspects of social media, but it also was driving traffic back to our microsite. And any inbound traffic that came through these elements, they were coming in as treated as guest traffic, but they were still able to renew their membership and check out online. So it was pretty effective. I think even though we got a small take on that side of the guest traffic, it still was worth the time and effort to create that. And again, all this looks cool, but show me the money is the real question. And so, at the end of it all, with a number of different emails, the microsite, online renewals, and then the direct mail response, we were able to capture over $6 million. We raised we had over 2,000 transactions alone on the microsite, and the microsite alone was able to transact 1.6 million of that $6 million. The rest came in through either by phone or direct mail. So something to think about here is that top section, renewal options. One of our initial goals was to see if we could move people into the next level, So we bumped them up from a lower level to a higher level. And as you can see, if you look at online versus mailed, the mail-in responses, we got an 8%, we converted 8% to an upper level online versus 5% through the mail. Total conversions were 7%. And then getting someone to just increase a little bit, just to give 10% extra than their previous year, 26% compared to 21%. And I think the microsite, honestly, I think if you could see the video from Bobby Purcell, it was a short 50-second video or so, but it really hit home. The music, the words, the emotion. If you're an NC State grad, you just want to cry and make your gift right now. It was that good. And then below, we wanted to track, progress through this. So you can see we had 1382, almost 1,400 early conversions before the campaign even officially launched. And by the end of January, we had 17% renewed. End of February, Running total at the end of February was about 50-something%, and then overall by the end of March. And this campaign officially closed out on March 15th, was the day we sent our last email out. But at the end of March, when they closed the books on the membership renewal campaign, they were at 77% renewed versus I think 69.5% last year. And here, what you're looking at is a dashboard view of some of the raw statistics. This particular campaign is one of our more recent campaigns with the young alumni. It's still part of the NC State Wolfpack Club and still part of membership, but talking to the young alumni audience as far as total engagement, a couple of emails that were sent out, and you can see things like bounce backs, marked as spam, all that stuff, open rates, 47% open rate on one of those emails up on total. This is all good stuff. We can set our clients up. They love seeing this stuff. It's a one click. My client can see all this in real time as it unfolds. It's a valuable tool for them.
Excellent. Great job, dude. That's really, really, really great presentation, great successful program. Thanks for sharing it. And I see a bunch of questions coming in for both you and Ken, so well done. All right, let's transition back to Dave so we can take a look under the hood and see how this is all accomplished. Dave?
Yeah, I'm just going to spend a moment or two and then ask Dave to talk just a bit more to talk about how he puts this together within MindFire. And so since there's about half of you here, about 50% of you here are not yet in the MindFire family, we thought we'd take just a quick look at how he does this to give you some context for what you're seeing. So if you're in the MindFire family already, what you're seeing on the screen you should be familiar with. It's the interface that you use to create these multi-channel marketing automation campaigns. And along the left-hand side, these are all the media that we put in your toolbox so that as a marketer, you're able to orchestrate these campaign workflows using any combination of these inbound or outbound media to achieve what Dave and Ken have shown you today. And you do that through this drag and drop environment where you're creating your marketing workflows. So as you're creating that strategy and as you're executing it, you're dragging these elements onto the canvas and connecting them up to carry out the intended marketing program. So that includes things like your target audience segments, which you have up here at the top, your outbound communication like your email or your direct mail, and your inbound channels like microsites, which Dave showed you a great example of. So with that background then, Dave, show us your workflow and just give us a brief overview about how you put this together.
Yeah, sure. This is actually, we were a LWC user for 4 or 5 years before we jumped ship last year, and so we've only been in studio for, a little more than a year, but this is one of the most valuable tools right here, the canvas. In fact, when I interact with clients, either on site or remotely with a screen share, we go here first, and we can start to build out this thing live right before them. So we start with target audiences. Who do we want to talk to? And then we start with the elements of outbound. Outbound elements. Is this an email? Is it a direct mail? Is it SMS? So, and then you flow down into some microsites, and then your trigger activities are, again, these are target audiences that are driving on activity that happens within the microsite. The microsite's monitoring certain activity, and as that activity happens, you can create these triggers to do other things, either generate a report, send some information to the payment app, to process a payment, or send an email to my client, send an email to the respondent. All of that stuff is just fantastic, and this canvas literally gives you the freedom to create a workflow that if you can imagine it, you can create it right here. It's really an unbelievable tool. Here you can see that my checkout page right in the kind of the middle. I had two, one for prospects or constituents that had a valid Pearl, and then there was one for guest traffic that was coming in. But Then right below that is the various payment options. Payment option 1, 2, 3, 4, which was, pay in full, partial pay, pledge now, pay later, and then call me. And then a couple of other payment options over there for guests. So all of this stuff here, it's relatively easy to do once you get the hang of it. And each element has its own set of rules and HTML, but we've done more and more of collaborating with our clients on these canvases to put the workflow together, rather than creating something, presenting it to them, and them telling us to make changes and stuff.
Great job. Excellent, excellent. Thank you. And there's a bunch of questions flowing in. So for the audience, we've got another poll question for you. How do you get started? And what areas would you like to receive additional information? So select one or more of the following, any that apply. Maybe you'd like to see a demo on the MindFire Studio for those of you that aren't yet a MindFire customer. Maybe if you are a MindFire customer, you'd like to get your sales reps get trained on how to sell these exciting programs like both Ken and Dave are. Maybe you need technical training on implementing programs like this. Or maybe you need help in building. Like our professional services team to get involved with you. They do a remarkable job, simple to highly complex, very affordable. And maybe you don't need anything at all, which we're happy with as well, especially if you're a customer doing well. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joe, one thing I wanted to give a shout out to is, folks, if you want to put your hands on the reporting that Ken and Dave showed and that I had on the screen, well, not their reporting, but something similar, Carrie and her team have done a fantastic job putting together a demo site that you can log into and actually start to use, click around, and get a feel for it. If you're not in the family yet, or even if you are, you just want to see some real populated examples. So send a note in through the chat now, or you'll receive another email from us after the session. You can reply to that, or email Carrie. We're going to have her information on the screen, and we'd love to give you a username and password and get you in there and allow you to play around with that and take a look if that'll help. So, Joe, I think we've got enough people here having answered the poll. You want me to close it up?
Yeah, close it up, and then we'll start to wrap up and address those great questions. So 8% like to see a demo. We'll take care of you. Mackenzie will be in contact. I want my sales reps trained on how to sell. It's 48%. That's fantastic. We love seeing that. We'll get you taken care of. 40% need technical training. 16% would like to talk professional services, and 32% don't need anything right now. Fantastic. Thank you for your input. And let's kind of start our wrap-up before we get to those great questions. So if you want to learn more, one of the best vehicles for that is our 2-day classroom training. And our next class is in headquarters, our MindFire headquarters in Irvine on September 10th and 11th. You can register at that address, and I really recommend it. All those companies that have gone through it, and I know Ken has, really have a lot of great things to say about it. And how can we help you? We've got a whole team of folks that you may not be aware of that are available to help you. Many of you know Carrie Driscoll, and as our Fast Launch Program Manager, she wears many hats and does a fabulous job. So don't be shy. There's her contact information. If you want a one-on-one demo, contact Mackenzie Farshid, wearing a lot of hats as well and does an incredible job. Sign up for those training courses. Adrian Marquez is contact, and if you want some professional services love, Dustin Madron will take care of you as well. So that awesome team is ready to aid you. And of course, don't be shy in contacting Dave or myself. So at this point, we want you to ask those tough questions, and I know Ken and Dave are both on the line to help us address some of those. So let's go ahead and dive in. And
yeah, I see a question for Dave. Dave, one of the folks was wondering, how did you create those variable images?
Oh, we used my graphic designers did that in InDesign and just attached. Basically, it's like a word merge. You just take data, attach it to a graphic. It throws it in there, and then you save it as it batches through and saves them all as PNGs or JPEGs. So it's a similar process. I'm not an InDesign expert, but that's how they did it.
Excellent. Excellent.
Ken, there was a great question on the 10 refer a friend, and Ray asked, is that a server-side script or a client-side script to get the maximum refer a friend working for you?
That was a server-side script.
Perfect. If you need help, let us know, Ray. We'd be happy to talk to you about that.
Yeah, Joe, we got so many questions here, but it looks like Mackenzie and Ramin and others have done a great job answering them. Again, folks, if you want access to a demo site, let us know. I see a number of you are asking for access. We're going to put Carrie's information back up on the screen. If you want a demo site, let us know. We're happy to help you with that. And in about a day, you're going to get an email from us with a bunch of helpful links in them, including other videos and such that may be of use to you if you're interested in finding out more about many of the things that we talked about today. So you can reply to that email if you want access to that demo site. At that point, we can give it to you as well.
Dave, Christina asked a great question. Does
Sure.
the new dashboard allow for scheduled reports to be sent to clients that look presentable?
Yeah, you can share the reports, Christina, so you're able to go to any view, share it via an email address, and send it to your customer. And we'd love to take you through that. If you want to see that live or in person, let us know. We'll help you do that.
Dave, Jeff asked a great question. How to one-to-one execute and automate the social media personalized posts?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. You know, you can. They were these. You know, these were non-friendly URLs. You know, you've seen them all the time. They're a mile long. They have variables in it and parameters in it. We just took those. So that's how we did it. These big, ugly, long URLs that actually they work quite well if someone's logged into, say, Facebook or Twitter, if that's the program they clicked on. If not, then once they click on it, the first thing they'll see is a login. But taking that big, long, nasty URL and making a content variable, and then driving in constituent or prospect variables into that, like first name, last name, and anything else. So we had this big, long content variable, and nested inside that were other prospect variables. That's how we were able to do it.
Beautiful, thank you. And for all of you still on the line with us, which most of you are, we've got some really good questions, so you're welcome to stay around while we handle some of these, because they're really good. Dave, here's another question. Was the payment process live, or was the data just captured and processed by the club offline?
Yeah, great question. First off, the payment app interfaces with both PayPal and Authorize.net. So your client has to use one or the other in order to set the payment app up. We did it in test mode up until we made the site live, and it actually processes information live. I mean, so if you put your credit card in there and you got it set up with your bank so it pings you with a text message, you'd see that transaction go through right away. So it's happening live. Now, reporting-wise, we had an automated report in there that would reconcile what the microsite got for traffic and match that up with what the client got from the bank every morning. So each day, those automated reports went from our microsite out to the client, and on their end, the client got another piece of information from the bank, and she would then match up, you know, all the transactions. And at the end, we came out 100% spot on, you know, at the end of it all. Beautiful. So it was really quite fascinating.
Even minus your 10% commission, Dave?
Yeah, right. I wish.
There was another question from Lonnie on that topic. He's asking Joe, is the credit card functionality built into MindFire? I think that's your question, Lonnie. And yes, the answer is yes. As Dave articulated, it is built into MindFire with Authorize.net and PayPal.
Yeah. And Jeff asked a great question too. Dave, how do the numbers compare to prior years, the wonderful 6 million that you generated?
Yeah, they were up. Again, their expectation was that their expectation was we want to at least get what we got last year. We beat that by a small percentage, about 9% in the number of renewals at the end of the campaign in March, and about 8% in dollars raised at the same time. But in reality, the goal for them was is slowly to transition out of a mail environment into an online renewal process, and that's why they came to us and asked us to build this for them.
Beautiful.
Jason is asking, will MindFire be supporting PTI like the PageFlix integration in the future? Jason, that's a very interesting discussion topic, and it certainly is possible. We don't support that yet, but it doesn't mean we can't do it. So if you've got PTI storefronts that you're interested in integrating with, let's talk about that, because as I've mentioned here a couple of times today, the system is open and flexible in the sense that you should be able to accomplish that integration. Joe, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And along, with the web to print, we're being approached by other manufacturers of large presses, Canon and other companies that would like to have their workflow tools automated, just like we've done with the HP script in the studio. So, we welcome those conversations. If it's going to help you grow your business, help your customers, meet more of their needs, we should have those conversations so that we can all work together to get a solution in place. Let's see. Dave,
so yeah, folks, if you have any other questions for Dave or Ken, hopefully we've answered as many as we can, but if you've got more, please shoot those in. Did you see something else, Joe?
No, just someone we're working with saying that this is great for a community college that he and I have been talking about, and I agree, Devin, so let's make it happen.
Great. All right, well, like we said, folks, in about a day, tomorrow at some point, you'll receive a follow-up email from us. I see a lot of questions about, can we get these slides? Can we get this information? Is this being recorded? You'll get those links. If you want demo access, you can let us know through there as well, and that should be out to you very shortly. So, Joe, any final thoughts or closing comments?
Yeah, just a big thank you to Dave and Ken for their help. We know they're super busy guys with full-time jobs, and we really appreciate the awesome job they did. And of course, all the MindFire team members that worked so hard on this, including you, Dave, and Ramin, Carrie, Mackenzie, and the cast of thousands. Thank you very much for a very informative day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye now.